Hi, I'm Kari Gregory, licensed professional counselor, specializing in the treatment of OCD, anxiety, and related disorders. I get asked a lot, how do I stop worrying? How can I shut off my mind? How can I stop my racing thoughts? And it's such a great question. The answer in theory is pretty simple. In practice, it takes a little bit more effort and energy, but you absolutely can learn to quiet down the mind. Our minds are there to keep us safe and to solve problems. That is what the brain is designed to do. And when we solve a problem, we get this little hit of dopamine and it feels amazing. And we get this rush of self-confidence and it just feels really good, if only for a brief moment. So what happens is that problem solving can become this emotional release that we start to seek out anytime we feel a little ill at ease. So if only I can solve this problem, then I can move on with my day. And that becomes a reinforcement loop. Now, what happens when the problem doesn't really exist? It's only the possibility of a problem. Well, that's called anxiety. And our minds try to think of all of the problems that could happen. And how do you solve for that? You end up in a worry cycle. So what it might look like is, what if I screwed that thing up at work? Oh, what if my boss catches that mistake before I do? What if I get called into a meeting and I have to explain myself? What if I get fired? What if? So we worry out all these scenarios in an attempt to have a resolution to a problem that doesn't even exist in this moment. Sound familiar? Now, what do we do to stop it? Oftentimes, these worry cycles get started in what's known as the default mode network. So that's an area of our brain that's always sort of on in the background. It's running commentary and we aren't really paying that much attention to it, but it's where we daydream, we fantasize, we mind wander, we get lost in thought. It's that space. And the thoughts that are occurring in that space are called stimulus-independent thoughts. And these are thoughts that we're not really focused on. They're not anything that have to do with our immediate sensory input. You aren't in charge of these thoughts. They are random. And every so often, one hooks us. And it strikes that nerve and it gives us that uh-oh feeling. I've got to solve this problem, and until I do, I can do nothing else, right? So we have to break down that reinforcement cycle, breaking down that uh-oh and immediate need to solve the problem. Okay, so research shows that when we're engaged in tasks that we have mastered, it allows our minds to simultaneously wander into the space. So if you aren't really focused on something that is engaging with your attention, you're likely to end up mind wandering. So what do you do to stop it? Well, this is where the idea is pretty simple, but something that has to be practiced and learned in order to be effective. Awareness and intentional focused attention. So identify what your triggers are for when you notice that your mind wandering is getting the better of you. Maybe it's a physical sensation like butterflies in the stomach, or maybe it's noticing you're getting warm, your heart rate is increasing, whatever that is. But once you have that awareness, have a list of activities to shift your focus and break the worry loop that you are in. We're shifting out of the stimulus-independent thought, and we are focused on focused attention. Now, think about activities that would fall into these 4 categories to keep in mind for you to shift to when that worry cycle is engaged. Jot these down and list out as many as you can for each category, something that is worthwhile to you. And it's good to have several so that you don't get bored with any one of these, because if you do, you'll end up back in that default mode network again. So the 4 categories. First, attention centering activities. So these are things like mindfulness activities, right? Meditation, focused breath, 4 square breathing, visualization, body scan, connect to nature. Then a second category is expressive and creative strategies. Things like drawing, color, paint, do a project, garden, clean out a closet, listen to a podcast, read from your favorite blog. Then another category is reflection and exploration strategies. Ask questions about your triggering thought. Is this happening right now? Is this a solvable problem? Is there any other way to look at the situation? Journal. Gratitude journal. Do the exercise, notice it, name it, neutralize it. And then finally, lifestyle choices. So things like focus on a relationship, go hold hands with your spouse, go play with your child, call a friend, make a hot beverage, make a healthy dinner, do something physical, go for a run, do 20 jumping jacks, do some squats, yoga poses. So have different types of activities available for different types of settings. And you want several available for you so you don't get bored at first, because you will have to shift your attention frequently. You are breaking down a reinforcement loop of uh-oh feeling and need to problem solve. Keep this list handy and keep it available to you so that it isn't something that you need to think about and keep in your head. Put it on your phone. Write each one on a note card and randomly pick one. Jot them down and put the list in your badge holder. And as you practice this, every time you get stuck on a worry, your brain will eventually start to shift more easily. It's learning that, oh, we don't have to solve for that right now. We can move on with our day. You are learning that that initial uh-oh feeling will go away on its own, and there's no need to solve for every thought as it comes up. So give it a try.